Hey, my name is Kara. I'm an ultrasound tech, and let's talk today about what prerequisites that I had to do to be able to get into ultrasound school, as well as how I made the decision to be able to get into ultrasound school based on the research that I did beforehand. So please keep in mind that this is specific to Canada where I went to school, more specifically Western Canada. So this may not apply to wherever you are, and it is best to obviously do your own research in the area that you are in. And I also do have some more info on my YouTube channel where I do answer the commonly asked questions about ultrasound schooling as well as just the career in general. So check that out if you haven't already. For the particular school that I went to, you actually only needed high school courses to be able to get into ultrasound school. I believe at the time the competitive average was like high 80s, low 90s, and I think now, according to the students that we get in practicum, it may be a little bit higher to be able to even get to the interview stage. So essentially, if you at least have that minimum requirement of the competitive average, then they will go ahead and give you an interview. And from what I can remember, I think it was bio that you needed to get in, as well as physics, and then social and English in high school. And you also need to write an essay to get in that essentially just asked a couple of questions, like day in the life questions of a sonographer. And then you had to put that into essay form just to, I think, make sure that you actually looked into the career before you went ahead and applied. But those are basically the only things that you needed to be able to get to the interview stage. The interviews that I did were not the multiple mini style interviews that I think most med schools do, and also the ultrasound schools around here now do. But for mine, I think it was called a panel interview, where essentially there were two interviewers and then there were four of us in that interview. They asked you four questions, and the first question was asked to the first person, and then everyone else would follow. And then the second question was asked to the second person first, and everyone else would answer, etc. And then from that interview, that's when they would make their decision as to whether or not you were accepted into the program. And as for doing research into the program before I went ahead and applied for ultrasound school, I was really lucky because my sister-in-law is actually an ultrasound tech. She was a tech for a few years at that point when I was applying for school. And she was the one that planted the seed of, hey, why don't you try applying to ultrasound school? When I was at a bit of a crossroads as to whether I was going to apply to pharmacy school again. So anyways, I was able to use her as a really good resource. And one of the main things that I tell people who ask me what they should do in terms of research for the ultrasound career, go and do a job shadow in your area, or at least in the area that you would potentially want to work with an ultrasound tech. So I think this is such valuable experience because not only do you get to see what actually happens even for a few hours or even the whole day when you are shadowing an ultrasound tech, but you are also able to then ask them questions about what school they went to. Usually it is in the same area that you were probably going to be applying for school for anyways. And you can really just get that insider look that you wouldn't necessarily get if you were just to Google, which is also something that I do recommend if you want to get into the career. Obviously, Google and just looking on the internet are such valuable resources as well. But they are pretty vague and generalized because, again, it's not the same across every region and definitely different from country to country. So if you can find, obviously, a creator in your area that is creating ultrasound videos or just content of that nature, that's going to be really valuable. But as I said, the be all end all, I think, for the best experience would be to go into a hospital or a clinic in your area and see if they do any job shadows. And then you can really get a good look as to what it would be like to be an ultrasound tech. And then you can really get a good day in the life look at an ultrasound tech in their career. So hopefully this has been helpful for you guys that are considering being an ultrasound tech. I think it is one of the greatest careers in healthcare, and I definitely do not regret my decision for 1 second. I think it is a great career. If you guys have any other questions, make sure to just leave a comment and I can do my best to get to them.